Hi everyone, it's Kate Cashman from katecashman.com and The Breath Between here again for our fortnightly check-in. This fortnight I'm continuing with the theme of mornings because mornings are a very special time of the day, not just for me, but I know for a lot of you, and it's something that my clients have increasingly talked about as part of self-care routines or empowering routines, and I really don't think that we can talk about mornings without talking about this book. So I really wanted to touch on a bit of a summary of this book and some of my biggest take-homes. Now, The Miracle Morning, the 6 Habits That Will Transform Your Life Before 8 a.m. is by Hal Elrod. Now, Hal is also a coach, but he's also an author and has basically created this movement of the Miracle Morning. Now, what is the Miracle Morning? Well, as the title suggests, it is about creating habits and, as I like to say, rituals that you can do upon rising. Now, I do want to reiterate, and as the book does, that if you're a shift worker or you have to have a late night for whatever reason, it's not necessarily the time that you get up that's important. It's that you just get up earlier than you ordinarily would get up when you sort of lazily throw your hand over and try and stop your alarm clock or put it on snooze for the 100th time. What it's all about is just consciously making the decision to start your day earlier than you would otherwise, because it's an intention and it's a decision, I suppose, a conscious decision to start your day in a way that you fully control and that has you feeling amazing. So basically what Hal describes in the book is what he calls Life S.A.V.E.R.S. Now, S.A.V.E.R.S is an acronym and it stands for the 6 steps. Now, the first one is silence, and he's focusing on meditation or just sitting in silence. Now, he writes this book as someone who has been diagnosed with ADHD. Very hard for him to sit still. I know a lot of you watching this are very, very busy people and you don't necessarily see how you might have time for meditation in your life. And I've done posts about this before. So perhaps think of it really as a way to sit in silence just for a period of time. The whole idea of the practice is just to try and quieten the mind, and have a read about different forms of meditation and how you might be able to do that. But the first S is for silence. The second letter A, so A is for affirmations. V is for visualization. E is for exercise. R is for reading, and the final S is for scribing. But what he means is writing. Now, he said the W wouldn't have made sense, so that forms the Life S.A.V.E.R.S. Now, there are a few points that he made for each of the steps that I found really, really valuable. And I think if you're looking to create a morning ritual or a morning routine, then perhaps it's time for you to connect with something like this book. What the 6 steps really do is they actually communicate to yourself, but perhaps also to others, that you are serious about creating change for your life. And one of the things that Hal points out in the book that was a really big take-home message for me is that we are really busy managing our life situation. So we manage all of the things that we have to get done in our lifetime, whether it's appointments, whether it's getting to places on time, whether it's shuffling kids out the door to go to school, getting ready for work, the mundane, everyday, groundhog type of situation that is our life situation. So we spend so much time in that we are taken away from managing our life. And our life is what I've talked about a lot, and that is our physical, emotional, spiritual, and mental connections. Now, I talk about them a lot in terms of energy. Hal Elrod talks about them as pillars of your life. So we spend so much time on life management that we don't take a big step back and look at our life. And a lot of the time we say, I don't have time. So what this book is all about is creating small windows of time in order to practice those 6 habits. One of the other great take-home messages that I took from the book was that you don't necessarily have to spend an hour for your miracle morning. You don't necessarily have to spend 2 hours for your miracle morning. You can do your miracle morning in as little as 6 minutes. Now, what he suggests if you don't have much time is spending a minute doing each. Now, how differently would you feel if you spent just a minute every day sitting in silence, recalibrating after you wake up, but with control and conscious intention? If you spent a minute reading aloud affirmations of what you want, why you want it, who you need to be to get there, and what you're going to do when you get there. A minute of visualization, so actually closing your eyes or looking at picture images, whether it's a vision board, whether it's Pinterest, whether it's diagrams, whatever, or just closing your eyes. You're actually visualizing yourself doing the things that are on that list, what you want to do and who you are going to be when you get there, not if you get there. And imagine if you went on and then spent a minute of, say, jumping jacks or push-ups or running on the spot. And then a minute of reading might be a page of something beautiful. It might be something in terms of personal development. And then a minute of writing, whether it's ideas for a book. There are so many of us that have books inside of us, you know, myself included. It's something I'm working on this year, but it might be you do some writing on that, or it might just be with whatever comes out. Connections for the day, gratitude. And I've done a lot of posts about what I do, but also this book covers a lot of that stuff. And so it's about making it fit into your life, whatever that is. The order also doesn't matter, nor does the amount of time balance. So if you like to exercise for 20 minutes every day, or you want to finish your miracle morning with exercise, then it's a great way to do it. Start the day with meditation, maybe continue with affirmations, visualizations, a bit of reading, maybe 10 pages of a book, a bit of writing, whether it's digital or manual, and getting a really nice journal for that. And then you might finish with exercise and getting the blood moving. But those simple 6 steps, take what you need from each of them. Take as long as you might need. It might just be a couple of minutes of silence at the beginning, followed by 10 minutes of writing, followed by 20, 30, 40 minutes of exercise, and finishing with affirmations and visualization. Whatever it is, this book reiterates, and the message that Hal Elrod is sending is that that morning time is a sacred and conscious intention to connect with not your life situation, you have the whole day with that, for that, but to connect with your life. So if you haven't read it yet, I absolutely encourage you to do so. It's a great book. It's really easy reading, and it just walks you through some great suggestions on what to do for each of the steps. But even if you don't get the book, perhaps consider how you can turn your morning into a rich and intoxicatingly, if that's even a word, I do that sometimes, I make up words, an sensitive and inspiring time for yourself, because we have the rest of the day to deal with the nitty-gritty details, and so often we don't connect with the big picture. I'd love to hear what your morning routines are, if you have them, or what your morning rituals are, I should say, and if you don't have them, perhaps what you'd love to include. I will see you next fortnight, and don't forget to connect on the Renewal Revolution tribe list, because this fortnight I'll be coming up with some meditations that you might be able to focus on for that first step. See you then.